Today's lesson is ways to increase your productivity. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And today we want to talk about being productive or increasing your productivity, getting as many things done in as short an amount of time as possible.
Right. So that is something that most of us would like to do because a lot of us today feel that the day is very limited. We only have a certain amount of hours to our days, but we have more and more things to do as we get older, more responsibilities, family-related, work-related, school-related. So what we want to do is to try to increase our productivity, to get more done with the limited amount of time that we have.
Okay, so we've got some pointers in today's lesson, so let's get to it. Everybody, let's listen to the first part, and we'll be right back.
Ways to increase your productivity. You want to get the most out of your day by making every minute count, but you find yourself running out of time or energy. What can you do to increase your productivity? First, draw up a plan of action before you even begin your day. Write down what you need to do, when you're going to do it, and how long it will take. By making such decisions in advance, you can perform each task without hesitation and thus spend your time productively.
大家好，第一部分我们来介绍名词 hesitation， 它的意思是犹豫不决、迟疑或踌躇。例如 I can tell by Jane's hesitation that she is a little scared of riding the horse. 从 Jane 的犹豫不决，我可以看出她对骑马有点害怕。又或者说 Alice accepted the job offer with some hesitation. Alice 带着迟疑接下了那份工作。另外，补充这个字的动词 hesitate, H-E-S-I-T-A-T-E, hesitate, 它指犹豫或迟疑。例如 If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. 如果你有任何问题，别犹豫，尽管问。或者 He hesitated and missed his chance to score a goal. 他犹豫了一下，就错失踢进一球的机会。再来，我们看到副词 productively， 它的意思是效率高的、富有成效的。例如 The new computer will help me work productively. 新电脑有助于让我更有效率的工作。又或者说 Keeping the whole team to work productively is a challenge to the new manager. 让整个团队保持高效率的工作，对新经理来说是个挑战。另外，去掉字尾 ly 就会变成形容词 productive， 意思是有生产力的、有成效的。例如 Leo is most productive late at night, so he tends to rest during the day. Leo 在深夜生产力最高，所以他倾向白天休息。或者 We had a productive meeting this morning. 我们今天早上的会议非常有成效。
So the first sentence of today's lesson describes a common situation. You want to get the most out of your day by making every minute count, but you find yourself running out of time or energy. So a lot of us want to try to make every minute count. That means we want to make every minute productive. We don't want to waste time. We don't want to let the minutes pass by and feel like we haven't done anything. And to make something count means to make that thing become important, to make time become important. And in order to do that, we try to get the most out of our day, which means we try to do as much as we can in one day. But when we do that, when we try to make these efforts, we find ourselves often running out of time. We feel that we still don't have enough time to do what we need to do, or we simply run out of energy because we're trying to do so much that we become tired, and in the end, we burn out and we can't can't get anything else done.
Exactly. So you want to make every minute count. You want it to be successful. You want it to be worthwhile. But you find yourself running out of time or energy. You're trying to get this project done, and you look at the clock and you realize it's already 4 p.m. and you've still got so much more to do. So here's our question. What can you do to increase your productivity? How can you make yourself more productive?
Right, and there are many ways to make yourself more productive. First thing is you can draw up a plan of action before you even begin your day. So instead of starting your day by getting right into the first task and doing the second, what you can do before all of that is draw up a plan. To draw up means to prepare or to write something down. Aside from drawing up a plan, you can also draw up a document, which means you prepare a document for work. But here we want to draw up a plan of action. So that could be a list of to-do things that you want to get done in that day. And once you have drawn up that plan of action, meaning the list of things that you need to do, then you can begin your day.
Right, so figure out a plan. You could imagine it in your head. It's probably best that you write it down. It's a plan of action, and you need to have that in mind before you begin to do things during your day. And here's what you could do. Write down what you need to do, when you're going to do it, and how long it will take. So again, this is drawing up a plan of action. You're going to write these things down, maybe with a pen and a piece of paper, or on your computer or on your phone. You just need to write down what you need to do. Write down all your tasks for the day. And then you're going to write down when you're going to do it. And then you need to write down how long you think it will take to do it.
Right. By making such decisions in advance, you can perform each task without hesitation and thus spend your time productively. So often what happens to us when we perform a task is we either spend too much time on it or too little time on it, and we're not sure where we begin, where we end, what we need to do. So all of that really is a waste of time when we're not sure exactly what we need to do. So by making such decisions in advance means before you begin to do it, you can then perform each task without hesitation. Hesitation means a pause when you're doing something or before you start to do something. For instance, I could say, after some hesitation, Mike agreed to help us organize the party. In other words, Mike didn't decide to help us immediately. He hesitated a bit. He waited a bit. So the waiting would be considered hesitation. And after some hesitation, he decided to help us. Here, you can make up a plan before you begin to do your tasks. And once you do that, you can avoid hesitation.
Hesitation is the noun form. The verb is to hesitate, which means you can't make a quick decision and then something may happen as the result of your not being decisive. For example, the policeman hesitated to shoot at the criminal and he got away. So in this particular case, you need to make these decisions ahead of time. You need to make them in advance, and then you can perform each task without hesitating or without hesitation. And thus, therefore, as a result of this, you can spend your time productively. So productivity, of course, is being productive, and productively here is the adverb because you're spending your time in a productive way. You're not wasting time. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part.
Of course, some tasks are more difficult than others. That's why it's important to decide when to carry out a particular task. For instance, if you concentrate better in the morning, then reserve that part of the day for tasks that require mental focus.
第二部分我们看到动词 concentrate 指的是全神贯注或集中。举例来说 It was difficult for me to concentrate with loud music playing. 我在音乐播放很大声时很难全神贯注。再举一个例子 You should concentrate more on your studies and less on your social life. 你应该多专注在你的课业而不是社交生活上。另外补充这个字的名词 concentration C-O-N-C-E-N-T-R-A-T-I-O-N concentration 它的意思是专注或专心集中例如 A lack of sleep can affect one's level of concentration 睡眠不足会影响一个人的专注程度。又或者说 The sound of the telephone ringing caused Alan to lose his concentration. 电话铃响导致 Alan 失去专注力。
Of course, some tasks are more difficult than others. That's why it's important to decide when to carry out a particular task. So we know that all of the things that we have to do in one day aren't all the same in terms of difficulty. Some take us less time and energy to perform. Others take up more time and energy. So we have to know that first before we carry out a particular task. Here, carry out simply means to perform or to do. You carry out your duties, you carry out your responsibilities. In other words, you perform your duty or you exercise your responsibility.
Right, to carry out actually can mean to physically move things from one place to the outside, like we need someone to carry out all our old furniture and put it in the alley so the Environmental Protection Agency can come over and pick it up. And in this particular case, though, we're talking about finishing your tasks, doing them, carrying them out. And this is a specific task or a particular task. So you need to look at each individual task and decide when you're going to do it, when you're going to carry it out, and how long it's going to take. We've got an example here. For instance, if you concentrate better in the morning, then reserve that part of the day for tasks that require mental focus. So for instance, or for example, you might concentrate better in the morning. If you concentrate, you focus your attention on something and you don't get distracted easily.
Right. Personally, when I study, I need to have total silence around me. If anybody is talking around me or I hear music or traffic, then I can't concentrate on my studies. So to allow me to concentrate better, I need to be in a quiet environment.
Exactly. So in this particular case, if you function better in the morning, if you concentrate better in the morning, then you need to reserve that part of the day for tasks that require mental focus. So here we've got the word reserve. That just means you need to put priority on that part of the day. So you've got a task that requires a lot of concentration, and you know that you concentrate better in the morning. Well, then do that task during the morning. Reserve that part of the day for tasks that require mental focus.
Right. Mental focus is related to the word concentrate. When you concentrate, you need mental focus. In other words, you need to put your mind fully on that thing that you're doing. Mental here is an adjective that's related to the mind, and it's the opposite of physical, which is related to the body.
Right. We need to focus on our mental health as well as our physical health. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third and final part.
Your environment can present obstacles to productivity too. If you want to study without interruption, then a quiet library might be the best choice. For more creative work, like essay writing, you might get more done in a coffee shop. Finally, you can't be productive non-stop, so remember to take breaks. This will allow you to remain productive by restoring your mental energy for the next task on your list.
最后第三部分，我们看到名词 obstacle， 意思是障碍或阻碍、障碍物。例如 Dylan's strength has allowed him to confront many obstacles in his life. Dylan 的勇气让他得以克服生活中的诸多障碍。或是 Greg's biggest obstacle to finding steady work in Japan is that he doesn't speak Japanese. Greg 要在日本找到稳定工作的最大阻碍，就是他不会说日文。
Your environment can present obstacles to productivity too. So productivity isn't always about choosing the right time of day to do something, to concentrate on things. It also depends on your environment because your environment can present obstacles to productivity. Here, obstacle refers to a difficult problem or something that prevents you from achieving something. So in abstract terms, I could say shyness is an an obstacle to making new friends, because if you're shy, then that shyness will prevent you from making new friends. But obstacle can also refer to a physical thing like a roadblock or a large piece of stone or something that blocks your way, that prevents you from moving forward. Or if you're in a car and there's a gate or something big blocking your way, then that is an obstacle.
This reminds me of an old song. I can see clearly now. I can see all obstacles in my way. So yes, indeed, your environment can present obstacles to productivity too. They can get in your way and you cannot be as productive with those obstacles in your way. If you want to study without interruption, then a quiet library might be the best choice. So that's an example here. Some people do not like to study in noisy environments. They don't like to be interrupted. To interrupt is the verb here. That just means something gets in your way, especially if it's somebody trying to talk to you when you're trying to focus on something. Hey, you're interrupting me. Leave me alone. I'm trying to study for an important test. And here, interruption is the noun. You want to study without being interrupted, or you want to study without interruption.
Right. So an interruption can also be something that someone says or does that stops you while you're speaking. So it's rude to interrupt someone while they're speaking by speaking over them. And if these interruptions continue while a speaker is speaking, then that speaker might lose their concentration and forget about what they're talking about.
And here's another possible example. If you're doing some creative work, for example, writing an essay, you might get more done in a coffee shop. Some people like the noisy atmosphere of a coffee shop. I have a feeling you would not like to try to write an essay in a coffee shop, Helen, because you don't like to be interrupted. You like to study in a quiet environment, right?
Actually, it depends on the coffee shop, because if the noise in the coffee shop is very neutral and I don't have to listen to any specific conversations, or if the music isn't too loud, then it can actually be very good for writing essays.
It kind of depends on the person, of course. So yes, you're going to do some creative work like writing an essay or maybe drawing a picture or something like that. So some people function quite well in coffee shops. Others function quite well in libraries. It kind of depends on what you're doing. Finally, you can't be productive non-stop, so remember to take breaks. Now, of course, we all would like to get a lot of things done, and we've got a lot of assignments to complete. So we want to keep on working without break, but that's not good, okay? If you keep on working, it's going to make you a nervous wreck, and you'll probably end up producing some things that are not very good in quality. So yeah, don't be productive non-stop, okay? Remember to take breaks from time to time.
Yes, and we can't have mental focus all day, because I think our mental focus only lasts a few hours, and then our store of mental energy just starts to dwindle. We use it all up. So even if we want to be more productive during the day, spend an extra hour or two getting things done, sometimes our minds just can't handle it anymore. And if that happens, the best thing to do is to rest and to take a break, and maybe take a break for the rest of the day or just for an hour and try to recharge.
Yes, indeed. Take some breaks and also stand up, walk around, get some fresh air, maybe step outside and focus your attention on things that are far away, because I understand it's probably not good for your eyes to be staring at a book or your phone all day long. You need to remember to take breaks, and again, this will allow you to remain productive by restoring your mental energy for the next task on your list. And so here we've got the word restore. That just means to return something to its original condition. Like my friend Kevin, he likes to restore old motorcycles. He's got some old Kawasaki's and Ducatis back in his studio, and he's working on them. He's trying to return them to their original condition, even though they're kind of crappy and rusty.
Right. There are other things that you can restore as well. For instance, I could say the new government restored peace in the country. Or you could say that the electricity was restored after 3 or 4 days following the flood or the earthquake.
Right. So give yourself a break from time to time so you can restore your mental energy, and then you can move on to the next task on your list, and you can continue to be productive. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's turn things now over to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在课文第3部分有出现 obstacle 和 interruption 这2个名词，我们分别来学它们的字首字根。好，首先要介绍 OB 这个字首，它有朝向，在什么什么上方，或是反对，或是阻碍的意思。好，那来看到在 obstacle 这个字当中，它的字首 OB 表示阻挡，字根 STA 表示站立， CLE 是拉丁文名词字尾，那站在那边阻挡的东西就是障碍物咯，所以 obstacle 它就可以表达阻碍、障碍、障碍物。好，我们顺便来补充几个有相同字首的单字。第一个是 obey， 它的字首 OB 表示朝向， EY 是指聆听，合在一起 obey 就有听从、遵从或是服从的意思。好，第二个补充的单字是 oblige， OBLIGE， 那么它的字首 OB 表示朝向， LIGE 表示捆绑，向着某人把他捆绑起来使他就范。我们用这样的方式也许可以联想到 oblige 它有迫使、使不得不的意思。好，第3个补充的是 obscure， OBSCURE。 好，那它的字首 OB 表示在上方， SCURE 表示覆盖，合在一起呢 obscure 它当动词就有遮掩、遮蔽、使难以理解的意思，当形容词可以指含糊不清的、难以理解的，也可以表达鲜为人知或是无名的。好，那我们接着就来看 interruption 这个名词，它本身有干扰、打扰、打断、中断的意思，那它的动词是 interrupt。 好，那我们就来看看 RUPT 这个字根，它表示破裂、断裂或是打破。那有这个字根的字大多带有那种突然被介入啊，或是打破原本规律的含义。在 interrupt 这个字当中，它的字首 INTER 表示在点点点之间， RUPT 表示打断。那当我们从中介入某件事情或某个活动，那它的连贯性就被打断咯，所以 interrupt 就有中断、打断或是干扰的意思。我们也补充几个有相同字根的单字。第一个是 abrupt， 它的字首 AB 有分离的意思， RUPT 是打断。当某个东西突然断裂分离，是不是会让人觉得很突然、很意外呢？也许可以用这样的方式去联想说 abrupt 它有意外的、突然的、唐突的那种意思。第二个补充的是 erupt， 它的字首 E 表示向外， rupt 表示破裂。那么当爆炸的时候呢，会有东西破裂，会有很多碎屑向外喷发，所以应该很容易联想到 erupt 它有喷发、爆发的意思。第3个补充的是 corrupt， 它的字首 COR 是来自 COM， 那只是因为 COM 碰到字母 R 被同化成 COR。 好，那这个字首它有强调的作用，而字根 rupt 表示破裂。好，我们就想啦，当所有事物全都崩坏分离，也许就可以联想到 corrupt 它有败坏啊、腐化的意思。当形容词可以描述是贪污的、腐败的、道德败坏的，当动词可以表达使堕落、腐化或是腐败。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Hesitation. He jumped into the icy river without hesitation to save the drowning child. Productively. Their team worked productively together so they can complete the project ahead of schedule. Concentrate. Warren turned off his phone in order to better concentrate on the task at hand. Obstacle. In spite of facing countless obstacles, Celia has never given up on her dreams. Interruption. The unexpected interruption brought the meeting to a sudden halt. Restore. Taking a short nap during the day can restore your energy.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, what other tips do you know to increase your productivity?
To increase productivity, I recommend not multitasking. Many of us like to do multiple things at once. For instance, we might exercise while we try to study, while we try to figure out some other problem. And though that may seem like a solution for saving time, a lot of times it just takes more energy from us instead of just focusing on one thing, and we would be able to get that thing done more quickly and efficiently if we didn't have our minds divided into other regions.
Sounds reasonable to me, but I think one tip for increasing productivity that I've heard is to not let yourself get too wrapped up in what you're doing. If you've run into a stumbling block and you cannot move forward, distract yourself. Maybe play with your phone for a few minutes or get up and walk outside and come back with a fresh perspective, and that might help you increase your productivity.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.